Hello amigos! Today we are going to address a common issue for many new riders – the fear of leaning the bike. Why is this such a big deal? Because if at any point we want to change direction quickly, we need to be able to lean our bike pretty far. The more we lean, the more cornering force we can get from our tires. This allows us to turn faster and with a smaller turning radius. In practical terms, this means that evasive maneuvers like, for example, swerving around an obstacle or cornering, they require us to be able to lean the bike significantly. At first, let's go through some examples of what happens when a rider is too afraid to lean their bike. Then we will understand why it happens, and at the end of the video we will figure out how to fix it. Let's start with the first example. This scenario is very typical. Happens quite often. Here we have a rider enjoying a nice sunny day. The road is clear, no traffic, no distractions, no hazards, nothing. He is not even going that fast. But then, at some point, watch what happens. The rider suddenly realizes the corner is sharper than he initially thought. He panics, straightens the bike, goes wide and ends up falling into the grass. Why did this happen? There are a few reasons. First and foremost, at the beginning of the video we can see a faster bike overtaking him. After that, it looks like our guy starts to chase the faster rider, trying to keep up. As a result, he's now riding a little faster than he normally would. Somewhere at this point, he realizes he's going too fast, and the bike starts going too wide. By the way, if you watched our video on how to pick a better line through a corner, you might have noticed that he started turning too early. At this point in the turn, his bike is now pointed more towards the outside of the corner, which makes the situation even worse. Even so, the situation was still salvageable. If he had leaned the bike just a bit more, he could have tightened the turn and made it through. Unfortunately, he couldn't. Instead, he grabs the front brake and straightens the bike in a desperate attempt to slow down. Judging by this little wobble here, you can see he's gripping the handlebars too tightly instead of keeping his arms relaxed. This makes the bike unstable. At this point, there is just not enough room left. He runs off the road, hits a pothole while still braking, which makes the bike completely destabilized. If our rider had been more comfortable leaning the bike, two things would have happened. First, he wouldn't have panicked. Second, he could have leaned a little more and cleared the corner without any trouble. And we know he could have done it because the rider ahead of him just went through the exact same corner without any problem. Let's move on to the second example. The setup is pretty similar. A nice ride through some twisty roads on a sunny day. Once again, there is a rider ahead and it seems like our guy is chasing him. The crash itself also looks familiar. Our rider comes into the corner just a tiny bit too fast and runs wide towards the end of the turn. He seems to be angry for some reason. As a fun little detail, there is a warning sign on the roadside. Thanks to Potato Vision 2000 video quality, we can't really see it clearly, but I bet it's a crossroad warning sign, like this one. A little further on, we spot a stop sign and an intersection. It's always a good idea to slow down a bit before an intersection, because you never know if a car might pull out in front of you. But let's set all that aside. Even here, at this point, our rider could still save the corner by simply leaning the bike a little more. And once again, we have proof. the guy ahead of him made it through the turn with no problem. Now, let's look at two more examples of the same issue, but this time in an urban setting. Here we have got a group of straight-line exclusive riders who seem to have accidentally decided to take an off-ramp. As you'd expect, navigating a curve for the first time in their lives is tricky. But hey, 2 out of 3 made it, so let's call that a success. On a more serious note, take a look at this guy. He's barely leaning. He could easily lean more and make the turn, but he doesn't. Why? Because he's scared and doesn't know how to do it. In this case, sheer luck saves him. If that barrier were lower or more vertical, he'd probably have been thrown over it. This video footage serves as a great reminder of how inherently stable a moving bike is. It's pretty cool visual demonstration. Also, this guy is now officially qualified to ride the Monza's banked section.
Sicuro, veloce, aderente, flessibile.
Second example is pretty similar. Check it out. Once again, there is a very fitting sign on the roadside. Makes you wonder if the folks who design roads somehow know exactly what's going to happen here. In this case, the rider comes in too fast, gets spooked and can't lean the bike enough to make the turn. For some reason, he thinks the issue is with his traction control. But I'm not so sure. Usually, when traction control kicks in, you'd see a yellow blinking light on the dashboard, like this one. In this video, there is no sign of that. It looks more like one more time our rider simply isn't leaning the bike enough. Either he doesn't know how to lean properly, or he's too scared to try. On the bright side, at least he is braking, which helps scrub off most of his speed before engaging brake assist in the form of a lamppost. All things considered, not the worst outcome. So, we've seen a few examples where simply leaning the bike a little more could have easily prevented an accident. Why couldn't those riders do it? There are two main reasons. The first reason is that a lot of new riders simply don't know how to lean the bike more. It's especially true in case of self-taught riders, who learn to ride intuitively by just riding around. They figure out how to lean the bike to some extent, but they can't quite put their finger on what's actually causing the bike to lean. What is it exactly? If you have been following my channel for a while, you probably already know the answer. It's countersteering. Countersteering is when we apply pressure on the handlebars, turning the front wheel briefly in the opposite direction of the turn. This way we temporarily destabilize the bike on purpose, causing it to lean more. All riders countersteer when leaning the bike, whether they realize it or not. The problem is that when riders do it subconsciously, they often can't so easily increase the lean angle when they need to, because they don't understand how it works. If we know exactly how to countersteer, it's very simple. We just press a little harder on the inner handlebar and the bike leans more. That's it. When a rider doesn't know what to do exactly to increase the lean angle, more often than not, he simply can't do it. That's why it is so important to understand countersteering and how it works. In case you are unsure about countersteering, I've got several detailed videos on the topic, so make sure to subscribe and check them out if you haven't already. The second big reason a lot of riders are scared to lean is because they're afraid of dropping the bike and low-siding, like this. And that's a very valid fear. Low-sides can happen when we exceed the bike's minimum lean angle. What is this maximum lean angle? It is determined by two key factors. First, there is the geometric limit of the bike. If we keep leaning further and further, at some point something on the bike will touch the ground, whether it is the foot pegs, the exhaust, the frame or the center stand. On cruisers and touring bikes this is especially noticeable. When you hear that scraping noise, That's your warning. You've hit the bike's geometric limit, and leaning any more could cause something like a foot peg bracket or the frame to catch on the pavement. That can lever the front tire off the ground and cause the bike to slide. The second limit is tire traction. The more we lean, the more traction we need from our tires. If we lean too far, our tires can lose grip and slide out. Traction depends a lot on our tires and road conditions. For example, a fresh, warmed-up set of road tires on clean, dry pavement will give us way more grip than some old petrified tires in the rainy day. Because of that, it is hard to say exactly how much lean angle we can get away with any given situation. But, just for reference, on a normal dry, clean asphalt with decent quality road tires, we can usually lean safely up to around 45 degrees, assuming the bike's geometry allows it. Another way to tell how much we can lean our bike is by looking at the sliders on our foot pegs. These sliders, which are usually small replaceable pieces, are specifically designed to scrape the pavement as we approach the bike's maximum lean angle. They are not placed there by accident. Engineers put them there so we can feel when we are nearing the limit. So, if you feel and hear those sliders scraping, you'll know you are getting very close to the bike's maximum lean angle. Cool! Now that we have seen why it is important to be able to lean a lot and how far we can safely lean, the only thing left to do is to practice. Because knowing you can lean, in theory, is one thing, but actually being able to do it confidently is a completely different story. It takes practice. Luckily, there is a simple and straightforward exercise, and we can do it pretty much on any free parking lot with decent, clean pavement. Here is how it works. First, we create a big circle. For smaller bikes, we can make the circle around 30 to 32 feet in diameter. For larger bikes, like BMW GS series, we'll need a bigger circle, maybe 38 to 40 feet. And for really big bikes, like a Goldwing or something like that, we'll want even more space, around 50 feet in diameter. Generally, the longer and lower the bike, the bigger circle we'll need. Now, the exercise itself. Ride into the circle at a comfortable speed. At this stage, don't worry about leaning too much. Your main goal is to maintain a steady throttle without jerking it and to use your vision properly. Don't look down and don't stare directly at the cones. Keep your head level, turn it as needed and focus on looking far ahead. Use your peripheral vision to see the cones, don't fixate on them. Once you start feeling comfortable riding in the circle at this speed, gradually pick up a little more speed. The faster you go, the wider the bike will want to go. Apply gentle countersteering to gradually increase your lean angle and prevent the bike to go out of the circle. Don't rush it. Increase your speed little by little and don't try to force a big lean angle right away. Your main focus should still be maintaining a steady throttle, keeping your arms relaxed and using correct vision technique. If you start to feel uncomfortable in any way, like you notice you are tensing up or fixating on the cones, stop increasing your speed, drop it a little. Go back to working on keeping your arms relaxed, maintaining smooth throttle control and using proper vision until you feel confident again. If you have motorcycle boots like these, equipped with sliders, you can use a little trick which helps to build confidence. You can use your boot slider as a sort of measuring gauge to figure out how far you are leaning. Here's how it works. Slightly dangle your foot off the foot peg just a tiny bit and gently try to feel how far the asphalt is below you. Don't put any weight on this foot, don't just jam it down with the force. And keep in mind that this is just for practice during this particular exercise. You don't normally ride with your foot dangling down. And if you try this trick, be very careful. Only dangle your foot a little and don't shove it under the peg. Slide it lightly against the pavement, don't put any weight on it. Sometimes this simple trick can be a real eye-opener. A lot of riders think they are leaning much further than they actually are. Then they try this, feel how far away the pavement still is, and realize they have got plenty of lean angle left. And one more thing, which helps tremendously, is filming yourself. Watching your own video shows you how much really you are leaning. Your lean angle might feel much steeper than it is in reality. Just like that. Try increasing your speed little by little. If you are patient and take your time, you'll eventually start scraping the foot pegs and feel confident doing it. Obviously, this doesn't mean you have to lean that far in each and every corner. On the street, you won't usually need to lean that much. But if you build your confidence with these lean angles in a controlled environment, handling normal street lean angles will feel effortless. And that's how you can stop being afraid of leaning your bike. Pretty simple and straightforward, just takes a little bit of practice. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to help more people find these videos. Of course, if you think they are worth watching. Also, check out our courses and make sure to subscribe to our King of the Road course to get notified when it starts. And since it's almost Christmas, treat yourself to an Ultra Max Cell base layer, especially if you are riding all year around. Trust me, you'll thank yourself every time you get on the bike. That's it for today, amigos. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!